In this episode we will visit Sandoy. Sandoy is one of the least visited islands in the Faroes, but it has a lot to offer. So in this episode we have arrived to the epic cliffs of Sandoy, and we have been here the entire morning, and this place is just absolutely ridiculous, and I am getting exactly the light I had hoped for. Nigel, it doesn't get any better than this. Now, I'm here with one of the locals, Thomas, who's also my friend, and as I said, we've been here the entire morning, and because it's winter time, the sun doesn't rise that far above the horizon, so it's actually not getting more than about 5 degrees over the horizon, which means we have golden hour the entire day. And what a day. Each time I think I'm done photographing at one location, the light just gets even better and I have to go back and reshoot that location. This is just phenomenal. To get to Sandoy you will have to take the ferry from Gamlaret on Streymoy. The crossing is only 35 minutes, which gives you time to reach most of the island before sunrise during winter. The first and main location I wanted to visit is located due west from the settlement Skopun. Just find the road and drive until you can't get further. Park the car and hike the last part up the hills to get to the vantage point. It is not too hard to find. This location, or rather the focal point, was one I scouted from the plane during in-flight to the Faroes on the September tour. I knew back then it would probably look cool to photograph during winter since the sun would rise behind the characteristic pointy cliff in the background. And yes, it does look completely like the witch's finger on the island of Vagar from episode 1. As mentioned, on this tour my friend Thomas Vikre accompanied me. He is a local photographer I would highly recommend to follow if you want to see more photos from the Faroes.
So right where we came up there weren't much as a foreground, and I knew I kind of wanted a small person in the foreground, so I have Thomas down there behind me, and the idea is to have him as a small silhouette figure and then have that finger here, let's see, here in the background, and have him separated in the water. So I have to find the exact angle where it's most optimal for him to have the water as the background, as to get a proper separation. And that is actually not as easy as one would think. I have to climb this little hill here. So right now I found a really nice place where I can have Thomas down here in the background. My biggest problem is actually to get a sharp image because it's fairly windy up here, and even though the wind does come towards me so it doesn't hit the side of the camera, it's still a little bit hard not to get a shaking image, because I do have to have a fairly long shutter speed, quarter of a second, something like that, to shoot at f11 and get it at ISO 100. So I have to fire off quite a lot of shots to get at least one which is sharp. But beside that, I've got a really awesome compression going on right here, where I have this big C-stack finger in the background and have small Thomas in the foreground. So I've moved a little bit further over towards the edge of the cliff, simply just to change the perspective a little bit, to have Thomas between the two C-stacks instead. And when I'm out here, I rarely just satisfied with one composition. I always move a little bit back and forth to find the optimal position to take the photo. Because as I usually say, like, I have no clue if I prefer this one when I come back home in front of the computer, or I prefer the one which were a little bit further back. I've also taken the tripod and got it all the way down to the ground, so now it shakes way less. So I'm shooting at f14 right now to get everything sharp, because I'm also shooting at 200 millimeters, and I can actually make exposures right now on 1 second, which is pretty good, and still get like sharp images. So yeah, all in all, this is such a cool location. Like, it's so cool when you prepare from home and have like a vision, and you go to that place and that vision is fulfilled. So yeah, very, very cool place. So that has actually been quite a nice shoot here. The sunrise didn't really manifest into anything, but I do think that I got some very nice, like, moody and chrome-ish photos. So that's not too shabby. And I got to fly the drone a little bit. I don't know why. I think it kept disconnecting, especially in the beginning. I think it has something to do with either the cable getting cold or something like that, or simply just my phone. I have a OnePlus 5. It seems to not really work properly with my drone. I'm not sure what it is, but it's a little bit frustrating when you take a $1,700 drone and fly it out over the sea, and then the entire thing disconnects. It's always a gamble, and that's what comes with flying a drone. Like, it's a constant fear of losing it, but yeah, so far so good. I haven't lost it yet. Hopefully it won't happen.
After having flown the drone, I went back up the hill where I started for a little surprise.
So right now I'm getting exactly the light I hoped for. Now, in the beginning it didn't really look as if the sunrise manifested into anything, but at this time of year we're basically having golden hour all day. Like, the sun is only getting like 5 degrees above the horizon. So actually, just by waiting a little bit, the sun came over the clouds, and right now it's just throwing light down and lighting the finger up here from behind, and it looks just absolutely phenomenal. So even though Thomas here has just like gone on to do something other stuff, explore other place, I just stay here and keep photographing, and then I will just like composite his silhouette into one of these pictures here instead. Like, it is a little bit cold standing being a model all the time, and yeah, I take my time. So yeah, but right now I'm just like, it's wow, it's so beautiful. Like, it's exactly what I wanted here. So yeah, so beautiful.
When I thought it couldn't be better, I decided to head all the way up the hill to try out a few other perspectives. When I decided to record the intro, the sun cleared even more. After I got my video footage and a photo, I headed back for the third time. The moors underneath me and all the moist in the air were lit with the most beautiful golden light. Boy, was it worth reshooting the same location 3 times. Eventually the sun did duck down into the clouds again. I decided to find Thomas and see what he was up to.
So I've come to the northern part of Sandoy. There's like one little house on an island, and right now we have Thomas standing up here, and obviously he's going to use me as a person in the foreground. I want to get a little bit closer down so I can separate that island from Sandoy. This would also be quite an obvious place to drone, but as the wind have caught up quite a lot, I'm not going to risk that. You can actually see all the way to the Trollkonafingur and Trellanipa up at Vaga. Trellanipa is up here, and if we follow over along Vaga, we get over here, which is Trollkonafingur, or the Witch's Finger. So there's no doubt that this is a beautiful location, but right now the conditions are just plain boring. Like, the light is flat and the sky is like this, not really anything in the sky. So even though it's a cool island and there's a little house on the island, it's just boring. Like, I spent most of the time over at that other location with the Finger Cliff, and that was spectacular. But right here, it doesn't really work right now. However, I've had my eyes on a couple of weird, like, sea stacks, I guess, the entire day, and I can just get that one right now with Thomas in the foreground, and this is supposed to look awesome. But yeah, again, it's the long lens, more or less 200 millimeters, and just straight on. So this is now the last location of today, and it is this nice little house with a little lake behind it, and yeah, it's just next to the road, so it's super easy to find. There's literally like only one road on this island, so you can't miss it. And yeah, I've been trying both a horizontal shot and a vertical shot, and I think it turned out pretty good. I will also just walk down from here and try one which is a bit more straight on, but the main problem is that the roof will just be almost like parallel with the background lakeside, and I'm not sure that looks too good. So yeah, I'll just try it out and yeah, see what works the best afterwards.
It is a nice little house, and after I tried out a few different angles, I decided to stick with the straight on perspective and get the moody minimalist shot I had pre-visualized. Sandoy is a beautiful island with a huge potential. I hope to visit and explore this island even more in the future. If you haven't noticed yet, I have released a new editing tutorial. In this tutorial I share how I shoot my seascapes, control the clouds and water, and edit my golden hour photos. For more information about the tutorial, check out the link in the description and get a 10% discount with the coupon code. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed the video. As always, I would highly appreciate both a like and a comment.